I'm a god.
Well, what if there is no tomorrow?
I'm a god.
There wasn't one today.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of It's Time to Rewind, a podcast stuck in its own time loop right along with the movies we discuss. And this season we're taking a look at Groundhog Day after day after day after day after day. I'm your host Bubba Wheat from Flights, Tights, and Movie Nights, and in this episode we're discussing Phil's 26th Groundhog Day that starts at 65 minutes and 17 seconds with Phil looking at an oncoming truck and ends at 65 minutes and 22 seconds with a close-up of Phil's face, a honking horn, and a dull thud after the screen fades to black. This episode does contain discussion about depression and suicide. We try to keep things light here, but if that's a sensitive subject for you to listen to, you might want to skip ahead to episode 28. And once again, my guest is the Vern from Cinema Recall. How are you doing today?
So put your little hand in mine. There'll be no mountain we can't climb. Bum bum babe ba 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 ba. I got you babe ba 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 ba. I got you babe ba 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 ba. Hi.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going all right. You know, this is.
I had to do the whole singing shirt thing. I apologize.
That's okay. You know, this is like the shortest of these loops. This is just literally 5 seconds.
I know, right? When you brought me on this, so yeah, we're gonna talk. When you brought me on to here to talk about each of the time loops of Phil's suicides, I'm like, you know, some of those things are just about maybe a second or so. Like, I don't know how we're gonna do a whole episode of this, but I'm totally fine with it. I can definitely talk about this because we are in the moment now of Phil's downward spiral, which is the name of a Nine Inch Nails album. For you kids who want to learn more about the 90s, the Downward Spiral was the second album released by Nine Inch Nails, written and made by Trent Reznor. He recorded the album in the Manson home. He said Trent Reznor was going through a lot of depression himself making that album, and it kind of shows. And if you watched his career, he went from being in this industrial band to now being an Academy Award winning composer. So
yeah, and the most recent movie that he did the score for was Disney Pixar's Soul.
Yep, yeah. So good him for that. He won that along with Atticus Ross and John Baptiste, who I recognize more as being the band leader for Late Night with Stephen Colbert. So, hey, congratulations to everyone who won that. But we're not here to talk about Nine Inch Nails, even though we probably could. But no, we're at the moment now, Mr. Bubbleweed, where Phil is at his lowest point right now. He tried to off himself with a groundhog. He thought that groundhog was totally the reason why he's stuck there. He's tried a lot of things. He tried destroying that clock. That didn't do anything because I'm pretty sure he thought if I destroy the clock, it can't turn to 6 a.m. Therefore, my time loop is broken. Nope. Still the time loop. And then he says, he's going to try to make the best of it. And, you know, he starts to have feelings for his producer, Rita. But she doesn't have the same feelings for him, even though he does try his best to be nice. But he's just doing things because she likes them. He's not really trying to get to know that person. And sometimes the things you love about the person are the things you don't really agree on. So,
yeah, I like to put it that in that moment he looked at her as a conquest rather than an actual person.
Yes, exactly. He just was trying to do things that she thought he thought that she would like, so that she would sleep with him, and that's just not the way to win her over at all. So now he's at the point right now where he's just going, F it, I can't do anything else. I'm going to just kind of end it. And, you know, he did tell her that we had a nice time. And he says, I'm going to just try to kill myself with the gopher or the groundhog. Sorry, gophers out there. Didn't mean to upset you. All right. So, all right. Tries to kill himself with the groundhog.
That's Caddyshack, not Groundhog Day.
I know. Yeah, I know. Like, I can almost imagine, too, both the gophers would get together for their own little spin-off movie, but that's a different thing right there. So he tries to off himself with the Groundhog. It didn't work. And then the last episode, he tries to off himself with a toaster oven, which we discussed probably isn't the best plan of action because toasters don't really have that much energy in them. I mean, if you're going to off yourself, go for maybe a TV, but because TVs may have a little more energy to them. Or
Yeah, although I can't imagine him lugging that, the giant
yeah,
70s era TV that they have at the Cherry Street Inn
yeah,
up the
that's true.
stairs.
We could maybe take the coffee pot upstairs with them and try that too. But then again, I don't know how many plugins they have next to the toilet. I mean, have you been to any like hotels or anything like that where there was like plugins next to the toilets? I never have.
I mean, whether they've been there or not, I'm not sure because I would have never looked for them.
Well, I know they always have like one kind of close to the mirror to plug in like a hair dryer.
Yeah.
You know, that's another thing too. He didn't try to do like more things into the tub with him. He didn't try other things. So, anyways, that whole experiment with the toaster oven failed. So, either if it's a 2-slot toaster or a 4-slot toaster or even a toaster oven, sorry, Phil, you failed at suicide. Even though if you succeed at suicide, it's not a good thing either. So either way, it's kind of a lose-lose situation. And then
I get the impression that like at this point he's just trying to maybe get through as many days as possible. Like maybe, if I do this enough times, maybe it'll work. So I'll just end the day like first thing in the morning, and then the next day will come. And so that makes it a little bit shorter because maybe there's a finite number of loops that I have to go through. And then, if I just cut this day off right at, 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe that'll get me to the end that much sooner.
Yeah. No, I can totally see that. And also when we get to our next loop here too, I don't know exactly when in the day it is. I mean, because after he electrocutes himself, we are just showing a scene where Phil just steps out in front of traffic.
Well, he is wearing his pajamas. He's wearing his pajamas and then a coat and gloves.
Oh, he is wearing pajamas. Okay, I didn't really see that moment there. So you're saying that he basically has left the hotel or the bed and breakfast, or what do you call that place? The whole Cherry
Street.
Yeah,
it's a Cherry Street Inn. It's a bed and breakfast.
Bed and breakfast. So he's leaving his bed and breakfast and decides to, and I guess that makes sense too with the truck right there, because when he looks out of his window during the first couple of time loops, he does see a truck driving.
Yeah, and you can see.
Street.
I mean, it's very difficult to see, but the truck, it's actually a moving truck, and the sign at the top of it says "No stop moving," which I think is appropriate for a truck that doesn't stop.
But he had to probably get down to the street pretty fast in order to have the truck hit him. I mean, doesn't like his alarm go off at 6 a.m. Wouldn't the truck kind of be driving past there already around that time?
I think it might be a different truck because there's not really anybody, like you don't see anybody walking through the streets like you do whenever he's looking out the window. Like in that scene, you see all these people heading towards Gobbler's Knob.
Mm-hmm.
But in this scene, you just see like one guy in a jacket across the street. And then whenever you see the close-up of Phil, there's not a single person in the background.
That's true.
And then it is overcast, so it's difficult to tell what time of day it might be.
And, there might be some sort of like sound things. I'm sure if I had like a 7.1 surround sound system, or if I saw this in theaters, I'm pretty sure there probably is a sound cue of a truck driving down when Phil comes downstairs originally to talk with the bed and breakfast owner about when he's going to be departing. I'm pretty sure there's probably something in the background in that scene where you hear a truck driving past. And it's just one of those background things that at times you probably wouldn't even think of it, but maybe that's why it's there, so you don't think about it. And then when he does, as he goes to kill himself with the truck, then maybe in your mind you think about that scene. I don't know. I'm stretching here. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. I think you are stretching a little bit on that.
Yeah.
But I also noticed, like, you see the no stop moving on the top of the truck, but it also has no stop moving across the grill of the truck, but in reversed letters. The type of lettering, like an ambulance has, so it reads correctly if you're looking in your rear view mirror. Is that something have you ever seen, like, anything other than ambulances that have that reverse lettering on the front of their vehicle?
On the front of vehicles, don't buses have that? I don't know. Um, I like they don't. I'm pretty sure I saw something on that before, but I just can't really pinpoint it. But I never actually heard of a truck being having on their dashboard. I wanted to say like "We'll break for no one," like the Spaceball One had, and just things of that nature there. No, I haven't driven in a long time. I had a really bad car accident, and I just have not driven since then. I've probably driven once or twice and had another bad car accident that wasn't my fault. Apparently, when I drive, people just want to hurt me,
Oh,
which
jeez.
I don't understand it. My first serious car accident, I was in a coma for like about 2 weeks, and then I went through therapy and cured myself, and then I got into another car and was driving for about a good month. Everything was fine, and then I was driving on the road during wintertime, and some a-hole got into the shoulder lane to pass me, and the shoulder lane had a bunch of ice on the road, and they slipped. They hit my car ends up spinning out, hitting another car, and after that I was like, all right, apparently I shouldn't be driving anymore, and I just haven't driven anything since then. I'm pretty sure the truck that I did crash into probably had that thing in reverse saying "We will not stop." So
Wow, that's crazy. I never knew that.
yeah. So
Yeah,
and
I've been in a few minor car accidents myself. Most
okay.
of them actually happened whenever I was a kid riding the school bus.
Really?
Yeah, I was in, I think, two extremely minor car accident or vehicle accidents, and then one slightly more serious where an
Oh
elderly
jeez.
woman actually T-boned the bus.
Oh
And
jeez.
yeah, like, and that one, like, I remember, like, I was sitting sideways, and then I just kind of bounced off the seat in front of me, and I was perfectly fine.
Oh
And then
gosh.
and then my friend, he was like leaning over like halfway into the aisle, and like he hits the seat in front of him with his shoulder and like kind of fell into the aisle a little bit, and he said that he was pretty bruised up, and I think that the bus driver actually got not like super seriously injured, but I think the bus driver had the most serious injuries out of everybody.
How old were you with when this happened?
This would have been fourth or fifth grade, I
Oh
think.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh damn. Well, I'm sorry that happened, man. Man, but I'm glad that you're safe and not too much brain damage happened. Did you have to go to the hospital afterwards and get stitches?
No, I think, I mean, I could be wrong because, this is like my fifth grade memory
Sure.
trying to recall this, but I think the bus driver was the only one that actually had to go get medical attention. I think all the kids just got loaded into another bus and then we all went to school like nothing happened.
Oh
And
gosh.
then the only other car accident that I've been in was just like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it was extremely minor and completely not my fault. I was driving out of the parking lot of my apartment building, and a truck backed into me. Like I had
Oh.
to stop to wait. It's funny too now that I think about it because it also involved a bus because I was
Oh.
waiting for because I was behind a bus and I was waiting for them to pick up the kids and then the bus left and so I followed behind the bus and I guess the truck saw the bus but didn't see me and so they backed into me, and they damaged my car door.
Oh
And
gosh.
but luckily that was an older car that I'd had for a few years, and I just drove it around. I just took the insurance money that was for the damage to the car, and then just drove around with a dented car door for the next 6 months to a year before I bought the car that I have now.
Oh damn. Well, I'm glad you got insurance money out of there. Yeah, I'll be really brief with my kind of big accident because so some guy ran a stoplight when I was driving home from my parents' house, and my car smashed into a light post, crushing the car in. I was inside there. I blacked out, but in my mind, I was still driving. Like I literally remember me driving home, getting to my apartment, going to bed, and then waking up in the hospital. And apparently, I was, gone for 2 weeks, and I just started. That's when I started slowly waking up, and
Yeah,
then, yeah, yeah. But that
that's
it was just
crazy.
fine now. Yeah, and yeah, that was just a car hitting me, and Phil's getting hit by a big huge truck.
Yeah,
So
head on without him being in a vehicle himself.
yeah,
So I
so
think it would be pretty quick for him. And I think it's weird. I don't know what he's doing. It's like he's standing there, he has his arms to the side, and then he's like um, opening and closing his hands into fists a couple times, and he's also like opening his mouth, but there's no sound, and I can't imagine what he would be mouthing in that moment.
when I see the image of him like stepping out of the traffic and putting his hands up right there, I'm reminded very much of Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, it's almost like he would be holding a sign that says,
Like help or so stop, like a little small stop sign.
or I think in Phil's case, like his would say, "It's not your fault.
Direful, yes.
It's not your
Or
fault.
maybe
It's
put
not
a
your
whole sign.
fault."
It's not your fault. Stop it, man. Stop it. Shut up, man. I like that little Good Will Hunting little throwback there. Uh, or maybe Phil was hold a sign saying thank you.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I would almost want to say that he's just saying like beep beep, but
Yeah.
and I've spent way too many times repeating this loop over and over, trying to make it out, but he makes more of an O sound with his mouth. He doesn't really
Yeah.
have the E sound, it's more of an O sound. But
Do,
I have no idea what he would be saying.
do you think he tried other modes of suicide before the thing with the truck?
Honestly, I think he did. And this is getting just a little bit ahead, but whenever he's talking to Rita, he mentions that he was been shot and stabbed, as well as the other ones that we do see. So I do think that he spent. Um, let's see, I don't have my little spreadsheet where I've been going through, but I think he went through probably like at least 20 days to a month just of various suicide attempts.
I mean, because if he says he's been stabbed and shot, did he try to shoot himself, or did he try to find some sort of like seedy crime underbelly units? Like I can almost
Or like
imagine.
suicide by cop.
Oh, okay, like committed a crime and just run away from the police and get shot that way.
Like still like robbing that armored car,
Okay,
but actually doing it in a way where he gets caught and goes on another action movie scene that ends in a shootout.
I could totally see that. I almost kind of imagine like Phil Connor trying to find some sort of like seedy underground or crime. Like
Like the
he's
Punxsutawney crack house.
yeah, or like he's basically doing his own version of Blue Velvet, where it's this very happy town and everyone seems really nice and sunshiny and happy, and then he discovers this crime unit that's underground and gets involved that way because to actually be stabbed, to do it yourself is, I don't know. That takes a lot of willpower right there. I bet you anything too. He probably maybe was too rough on some of the women, and then they stabbed him. I don't know. I mean,
Or it could be like the more traditional, just the wrists, and
of course.
he didn't, like, whenever he's talking to Rita, he's not gonna say, I slipped my wrist. And he just transfers that, and he says stabbed, but that's not what he actually means.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Going back to, some of my other questions that I sent you ahead of time. You said that he's been trapped. You feel like he's been trapped about a year up to this point.
Yeah.
And we are getting closer to the end. We've actually, I didn't mention it, but we've passed the 1 hour mark in the movie. But how long do you think that he has been trapped total? Because I think that for the entire movie, because we actually haven't seen, we've seen the armored car heist, which that would take a bit of planning. But at this point, we haven't really seen any things that of him learning how to do that would take a longer amount of time, like learning to play the piano or learning to do an ice sculpture. I think those are really the two biggest ones.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh. Well, I did say before that up until his depressive state, he is probably in this town for, gosh, possibly a year or so. When I did see the whole thing there, I'm gonna probably say starts to learn things, because years is a long time. I'm gonna say he was probably stuck in the whole thing for at least 3 years.
3 years? All right.
That's like my theory right there, because it may not seem like long, but a day is a long time.
Oh yeah.
Years is a long time. 3 years is a long time. I know he just went through 2020, and everyone gets stuck at home. You know how long that felt.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too. It's like everybody knows how long 2020 lasted.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all the notes that I have for this day. Did you have anything else for the truck?
The truck,
attempt?
Yeah, it's a truck attempt. It's not much to really say. He just does his old Wile E. Coyote. It would have been nice to have some sort of like noise the Roadrunner made, like a beep beep, and.
Well, you do hear like when the screen goes blank, you do hear the horn honk from the truck.
Oh, you do? Okay, yeah. All right, but you don't hear the traditional Roadrunner beep beep, beep beep. No, that was it.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining me. Why don't you go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you online?
All right. We are Cinema Recall. If you type Cinema Recall through Google or whatever search engine, I don't know if Ask Jeeves is a thing anymore. Maybe not, but we may be on there. But if you just search for Cinema Recall, I'm pretty sure you can find us. We're available on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Audible, Sound Chaser, Podchaser. Most places you find podcast, we're on there. Go to Twitter account at cinema_recall.
And as always, I'm Bubba Wheat, and you can find me at flightstitesandmovienights.com. You can find me on Twitter at Bubba Wheat, and you can find the show It's Time to Rewind on Anchor.fm, as well as anywhere else where you listen to podcasts. And we also have a Facebook group, It's Time to Rewind, a time loop group where you can join to discuss episodes, time loop movies and TV shows, and just about anything else. And, until next time, beep beep.
I'm a god. Well, what if there is no tomorrow? I'm a god. There wasn't one today.